upon Captain Gurpreet Khurana for his paper presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. I think it's a great God-sent opportunity. I would say that although General Mathur had given me more time during my presentation yesterday, but even then I could not finish. And I think what I left out was actually the main part.
We knew that. Mathur and I knew that.
So thank you so much, sir. So if you remember yesterday, I was telling you about India's strategic geography and how you make it by superimposing your overseas and maritime interests on your natural geography, and you get what you get is a geostrategic frontier where you need to influence events using all tools of national power. And my predecessors in the same session, they have given a great example of soft power. The previous Professor Hussain, he talked about Bali Sango tradition, which even I didn't know about it. The soft Islam and essentially a soft power. So why don't you use it? But then Buddhism is also another thing but have you used it? That is a issue of introspection. But the concept that I am trying to tell you is everything is connected. Everything is connected to what I am trying to tell you. And the later presentation, the professor talked about discarding Western narratives and building your own narrative. That is again soft power. So what I am now trying to give you are some examples which I have put on my slides so that you can understand the entire introduction that I have given you so far. And everything makes sense in every theme of activity, whether it is maritime or it is not maritime, and like soft power can be maritime or it may not be maritime. So how India leverages firstly its geostrategic location and the tools of national power, and as I said earlier, because of our natural geography, these tools will largely be present in the maritime power. And by maritime power, I do not mean only naval power. I mean the holistic naval power. Otherwise, we will not be able to preserve and protect our interests. So we need to leverage all these within our geostrategic frontiers. Now again, let us look at some examples. Our geostrategic location, and of course, our market, the strong market, the population that we have, it's a great leverage that we have, and that's why the countries are so much willing to go in to have economic connectivity with us, aren't they? You see the IMEC, somebody said in the morning or yesterday, the Middle East is going down because their fossil fuels will exhaust. That's why they're going to go, because they want to keep their economy alive. The trade from India to Europe and onwards through the Middle East corridor will give them everything. So I'm not going to go into detail, you know what I'm talking about. But the challenge is our supply chain access, and we have to be integrated into these supply chains through competitiveness. I'm not an economist, but at least I understand this much. We need to shield our farmers, our agriculture guy, everybody from unfair trade practices. But we can't be shielding them to the extent of making them incompetitive. So this is something, and then we have to look at the port infrastructure. We talked about ports all the time, right? We are doing it, we have everything on the paper, but it is not getting translated on, in real practice. Okay, this is my view, okay? Anyway, now, once we develop our economic power, will we become like China? Will we be able to weaponize? Now, this is future. We're looking into the future. Will we be able to weaponize this? We will do it. We are talking about our, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, and all those nice kind of cultural heritage that we have. Will we be becoming like China, who has weaponized this against Philippines? They stopped buying the bananas from Philippines because Philippines took it to the Permanent Court of Arbitration in the South China Sea case. They did it again with Australia when the Australians told them that the coronavirus started with you. Will we do that? We don't know that. Okay, it's unlikely that we will do that. But this is certainly a leverage that we have with us. You have to leverage your geostrategic location for military reach. We have signed the logistic agreement, defense logistic agreement with Russia. I remember I told you Russia's waters are frozen, so they want an access to the Indian Ocean. What a lovely thing we've done. We need access to the Arctic, don't we? Because Arctic, even if we don't use the corridor for shipping, we need resources from there. And therefore there is a problem, but the Indian Maritime Security Doctrine, which has just come out 1 month back, it says that the Arctic is within our areas of interest. But you have a Arctic policy of India, which is issued by the Ministry of Earth Sciences, that doesn't talk about Ministry of Defense at all. So there is a problem here. We need to have naval capacity, and it should be there should be a consonance between the policies between the Ministry of Defense and Ministry of Earth Sciences. So these are just some examples. Then this is how you leverage science and technology and industrial power for diplomacy. Because diplomacy is actually hollow. Diplomacy has got no meaning unless it is backed by some form of power. Remember that. And therefore, when Prime Minister Modi went to Mauritius in 2015, he articulated Sagar. He did it on the occasion of commissioning of CGS Barracuda. That was the first ship built in India to a foreign order. This showcased science and technology power. 10 years later, recently in March last year, Prime Minister Modi went again to the same place, Port Louis, and there it coincided with the visit of INS Imphal. And INS Imphal is the latest destroyer of the Indian Navy, fitted with BrahMos. So he showcased not only the improvement of India's science and technology power, but also naval power. And then you are leveraging military power for diplomacy, multilateralism. Mission Sagar was where we conducted humanitarian operations during COVID. We are inducting 4 landing platform docks, which are very big amphibious platforms, essentially for expeditionary operations, which played a major role during the Indian Ocean tsunami. But this is my view. We should have a hospital ship because the Chinese have it. And we send our doctors to the American ship called USNS Mercy for conducting medical ship missions, but we don't have a ship of our own. Now, this is what you are leveraging military power to showcase science and technology power. So you go to Philippines, the ship goes to Philippines, it showcases BrahMos there. And Philippines buys your missiles. So your national policy of promoting defense sales and Atmanirbhar Bharat, Make in India, all get a boost. So this is what you need to combine various forms of national power to do whatever you want to do. And this is what I already told you yesterday, because this was right on the top of my mind. What the USS Enterprise did in 1971 against India during India-Pakistan war, coercive diplomacy against us. We don't do that. We do something more benign. We are helping the Sri Lankan government to making them sign the agreement so that the Tamils can be given the fair share of time helping the Sri Lankan government. But this accord and the induction of IPKF into Sri Lanka was not very popular in Sri Lanka because there were other political parties like the JVP, and we were fearing a coup against the government, and that is the reason why we sent this ship, this is a Russian destroyer, heavily armed as you see, lethally armed. It even looks better than an aircraft carrier. That's why we sent it. it was coercive diplomacy. And my last slide is coming back from where I started, was soft power. Narratives, very, very important. The Indian Navy has changed its ensign from the St. George Cross, which you see in the red, to the Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj's emblem, which is a seal. And of course, we have projects Blossom, Spice Route, but the problem is these projects were meant to displace the BRI, to counter the BRI. But as I said even yesterday, the BRI has succeeded because they have deep pockets and they have whole of government approach with the president backing, Xi Jinping backing the BRI. But we are so this is something which is again a matter of introspection for us, that how we can improve our narratives. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Thank you, Captain Gurpreet Singh. I think what was left out in your presentation yesterday, I think General Mathur and I have made up for that today. So that's generalship for you. Anyway, I think this is a very interesting highlight which he has brought out, and I will dwell more on it on my closing remarks. And essentially, he has said that we have to become much more serious and maybe have a little, some of the ideas from the Chinese playbook, because this is the new arena of conflict, future conflict between both of us for supremacy, or let's say some kind of a domination of in Asia, in this part of Asia. That's the more important Indian Ocean region domination or strategic outreach has got a direct impact on how the Asian politics, geopolitics will face up in the future. Like in 1946, we said Asia for Asians. That then we forgot about it, but we had the lead over China, but I think the leadership at that time in 1946-47 forgot about it, and we suffered. I think time to catch up, but more on this later. Now,